Thank you for tuning in to Rose Performance today, man. So what we got going on today is we got some dope ass content going on for you today. So today we are going to be turboing a P5 in less than 5 hours. I think that's a good idea. P5, 5 hours, great time limit. So right now it is 11:59. So we are gonna start right now, literally 12 o'clock. By 5 o'clock, this car will be done. Full turbo manifold, everything will be done. And from right now, what we're starting with is a complete bone stock setup. So if you see that we got this kind of already kind of going type deal, and from here, we're gonna make a whole complete P5, literally. Stay tuned. What's going on, everybody? Okay, making a little bit more progress on the build. So pretty much what we got going on is we got the side mount intercooler set up, and we also have the half-size radiator. So we're gonna have to make a couple adjustments from basically the back points to make sure that everything lines up. Pretty much next we're gonna go ahead and put in the turbo manifold, and from the turbo manifold we're gonna go ahead and put in the downpipe. The whole setup is already put together, so the only thing we have to do is change out a couple things and then we should be solid. First things first, what I always like to do is remove these coolant lines that go to the throttle body. To me, they are pointless. I mean, other people, they use them. I prefer to use them for my turbo lines, so I kind of steal them and use them for my turbo lines. And then if you don't use them for your turbo lines, you can also take them and use them for looping them together. So I do that also. So normally I'll just take both of them off, and then I'll start with that. There's a bracket that's actually on the side of the coolant housing, and that's actually a 10 millimeter. So I'll go ahead and take that 10 millimeter bracket off. It's actually a 12. Where's the 12? Do we have a 12? I'll wait till you're done. Just wait till you're done. Okay, we're gonna get a 12 going here, and then basically what we need to do is kind of figure out the layout that we're gonna use for the turbo setup and for the intercooler that goes to the side mount. So the great thing about it is what we're gonna do is, okay, so we got a 12. Nice. Gonna go ahead and take out this side bracket. Okay. After you remove the side bracket, I normally don't keep this stock stuff. I normally get rid of it. I don't like it in the car. I feel like it just adds more clutter to the engine bay. I'll normally get rid of this side bracket too. I don't keep none of these brackets. I feel like they're just an extra that doesn't serve any purpose for what we need, so I just remove it. The other bracket that I like to remove most times is doing a bracket. Basically, there's stock setup is already here. We're gonna basically use and utilize the stock coolant overflow housing. We're going to utilize some stock coolant overflow lines. And from there, we're going to make this stock setup actually work like it was intended to be on this car. Now, if you guys are just tuning in, this video is actually basically a video on how to turbocharge your Mazda Protege 5 wagon in less than 5 hours. And right now, we're on probably about hour 3. And so we've actually got the radiator in, the new radiator in, the new half size radiator, and we also have the side mount SMIC intercooler in from the Mazda Speed Protege. So we're starting out with those two things, and we're kind of going from there. Basically, this video. All right, guys, we're back. Say what's up.
Hey guys.
Okay, so we got the new turbo manifold almost mocked up, ready to go in the motor. Have a side mount setup already ready, and as you can see, we already got our kind of lines already kind of pre-ready and pre-set up for what we're trying to do. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and take this casing off. I don't really like this casing. So this is basically a upgraded oil line that I custom made for this car. We can take off, go ahead and hold this. So we're gonna take off this fitting, and basically that fitting will be onto the back of the motor where the oil pressure sensor goes. Normally I'll go ahead and leave, this is from an MSP. This is basically, it's a T-block that this piece screws into the actual block. So you screw that in normally really tight. Well, I fit it snug. I don't never do it super tight. I just fit it snug, and then I'll get it to where it sits in the back of the motor, because it goes in the back of the oil port, and this basically will be facing towards the driver's side. There's a couple different ways that I route my oil sandwich line. Sometimes for a stock setup that I'm running under 10 pounds, I'll rely on the oiling point coming from the back of the block. But after that, I normally will make a sandwich plate and run it down to a cooler, and then I'll pick up the oil line from there, and with also in conjunction of running an oil pressure sensor on there also. So I can always make sure that that oil pressure is up, because everybody knows that a Mazda FS goes zoom, zoom, boom if you don't put any oil in it. It's almost like a rotary. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna reroute this line. Go ahead and come on this other side. We're gonna go ahead and reroute this line. We're probably gonna need to go grab a light, because they're not gonna be able to see what we're doing. So I'm gonna go ahead and go grab a light in a second. So basically, I've routed this line to go underneath the intake manifold, and basically it's just gonna kind of hang out like that. The coolant line for the flow one, I normally will put this one to the top, and this one kind of fits on the stock little nipple that goes there. Let me go get a light. Hold on. Get a light. Okay, boss.
Alright, go.
Alright, guys. So, pretty much, we got the upper coolant line is actually on. I normally put a little barred fitting in the middle of this. The reason why I do is normally I put a coolant temperature sensor here, and I also keep the one that's in the factory spot. The reason why I do that is because I never trust the temperature that is in this housing. The temperature that's going into the turbo and coming out of the turbo, that's the temperature that I prefer to monitor a little bit more than normal. We also have this stock line that actually goes to the back of the block. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to route that around the back of the motor also. So we need to take off the reverse input switch. Basically, this is the switch that makes your rear reverse lights come on when you put the car in reverse. So sometimes these clips can be a little bit of a pain. So what I always do is I take a pair of pliers very gently, and you just squeeze onto the back until it clicks. And you hear that click, that's when you know it's all the way done. You take it and just pull it apart like that. Super simple. So I'll go ahead and move that out of the way for now. Now, if you guys can see, this is a Garrett GTX 3171 R. It's a dual ball bearing turbo, and we are going to be running a wideband O2 sensor on the setup, so it will perform hopefully great. That's the idea. We're actually going to change. No, we'll keep that one as a secondary wideband. Okay. Boom, boom. Then we'll put the hose back onto there. Then that should fit there. Now, what I need you to do is we're going to go ahead and line up the rear setup. So I'll normally go ahead and just kind of push that through there like that, and then we'll kind of just snake up out of the way, and then like that. So then there, that's all done. Now on his setup, we are going to do an external wastegate. We are going to do a Turbo Smart external wastegate. We're going to do a 38mm Turbo Smart blow-off valve, or actually we'll probably do a 50mm blow-off valve. I prefer the 50s over the 38s, only because the pressure responds a little bit better, and with having a smaller or a larger wastegate, I've noticed that the power band doesn't fall off and it doesn't stumble over 5,000 RPM. I hear about that problem a lot, and one of the ways that I combated that issue is, one, I get rid of the stock like slave cylinder ignition coil setup, and then the other big thing is we change a couple things with the VTCS and making sure that the fuel pressure regulators are connected properly, because that's a big issue that a lot of people end up running into, is that if the fuel pressure regulator is not corrected properly, not connected properly, it will function as if it has an issue. So we're going to go ahead and run this fitting to the top. Go ahead and tighten that up there. Where'd my flathead go? I had a flathead. That's a Phillips. Okay, good. Thank you. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten up this side fitting right here. This is basically one of the coolant feed lines. If you guys are wondering, it actually feeds coolant to the turbocharger. And I actually extended these on purpose, like I just stated earlier. So next, we're gonna go ahead and run from the top. Normally, I would run a wideband from here, but what I figured out to get the car not to stumble is don't put the wideband in the top, put the normal O2 sensor in the top if the stock computer is still reading it, and then go ahead and place your wideband in a further location away from that setup, and it'll make it perform, I wouldn't say a lot better, but it makes it perform somewhat better in my opinion. So we're gonna have to actually run a harness that'll go through the inside of the car, and that will hook up the wideband O2 controller. We're also gonna run a Turbo Smart boost controller on here. We're gonna run the eBoost Street setup, and we're gonna set it at 7 pounds, put in the MSP ECU, change up a couple things, make some intercooler piping and routing for a side mount intercooler setup, and from there, we're gonna be cooking. We're gonna be cooking. Definitely cooking for sure. So I'm gonna go ahead and go underneath the car and line up the turbo mount, get the exhaust manifold all lined up, and we'll kind of go from there. All right, so can you hold? Oh, I gotta take this bracket out of the motor. Just line up the turbocharger and the exhaust manifold. There you go. There you go. Yeah. Okay.
Not sitting flat because I can twist it now.
Okay. A little bit of update from earlier today. So far we've got the Callaway exhaust manifold put on. I did weld an external wastegate onto here. So basically the external wastegate got TIG welded on. And now we put a Turbo Smart Ultra Gate 38 external blow-off valve, or external wastegate on the vehicle. We did a custom down pipe that I actually made. It wasn't that hard to TIG weld that up actually. And then we did a Garrett GT 3171 turbo. It's actually a GTX wheel. It has the little wheel on there, but this turbo setup is going to run for about 7 pounds. So the setup is going to be a new black valve cover, because I'm going to actually upgrade him up. So we got to get a couple things for my boy, his car, and get a couple things. EGK, V-Power, BKR5E-11 spark plugs.
Feeling awesome. Can't wait to really get this thing going. We're only missing one more clamp, but other than that, we'll be solid as soon as we get that clamp, which is coming right now.
Yeah, so pretty much we got my boy Cal. Cal is coming out. He's gonna come and bring us our last T-bolt coupler that we need to go ahead and finish our setup. So in all, we did a turbo P5 in about 8 hours. So basically this build series, see, the plug just arrived. We just got the goods. Let's see if we can get the goods, guys. You got the goods? We're vlogging. We're vlogging. You want to say what's up? Hey man, you guys shout out to my boy Cal. Cal, you want to put your IG out there or anything for anybody? No? Okay, bet. So my boy Cal, he came clutch for us today. He's actually bringing us the last golden ticket. So hey man, You guys give that man a like, man, for that, man. He came after work. It's late as hell, and he came clutch just for us to get the whole deal. Yeah, that's the last one, baby.
Is that 2.5?
It's yeah, it's 2.50s. It's a 2-inch. This is a 2-inch.
Oh, okay.
That's 2-inch.
It just looked big to me.
Yeah, it's 2-inch. Here,
It's almost
give
like
that.
3-inch, man.
Yep,
Yeah,
no.
I don't have the socket. Oh, you have the socket.
I got the socket.
That's your
Thank
seat.
you. Hey, yeah, so we did a turbo P5 in 8 hours. We tried to shoot for 5, but traffic and running around and, you know, everything else, it turned about 8 hours.
Yes.
That's where we got it.
Especially with that semi truck on
Oh my
I-5
God,
South.
Yeah, the I-5 South traffic. There was 2 semi trucks that jackknifed. Yeah, and they shut both sides of the freeway down. So
Traffic was pretty backed up.
yeah, it was pretty backed up. So he came all the way from Springfield.
Yeah, I'm all the way in
That's
the
what I was going to ask about that.
You're like, what? Oregon plates all the way up in Washington?
Yeah, he came all the way from Springfield to get a Rose Performance Turbo Kit because, you know, hey, as they say, if you build it, they will come, you know? So that's what we did. So pretty much we're putting on the last coupler. So Cal will be able to hear what this sounds like actually when we do a little bit of turbo flutters and all that. So we did everything from a custom Rose Performance external wastegate manifold to a Turbo Smart Ultra Gate 38 external wastegate. The turbo is a Garrett GTX 3171R. I'm sorry, mixing all those numbers together gets a little bit of confusing sometimes. So then from there, we went ahead and went with some Speed Factory couplers. Went from a 2-inch setup up to a 90-degree, goes over to the side mount setup. And the gap that's right here, I'm actually gonna make an overflow container that'll sit perfectly in this gap, so then everything will be nice and flush across the front. I think it looks great. Like, what do you guys think? It looks pretty good for an 8-hour build. 8 hours, whole intake setup. Go ahead and start it up. Motor mounts. We did the front and rear motor mounts. Anybody that owns a Protege knows how much of a pain in the tail end it is to do that rear motor mount on the stock subframe. Oh my gosh. Has a little startup video of what we got going on. Turn off the headlights. You can see kind of sounds all nice and pretty, and she's purring. Give us a little blip. Very nice. Very nice setup. So we're gonna go and do a little road test and see what she got. All right, gate pressure. That's set at 1 bar. So 1 bar is roughly about 7. So we're gonna go half a bar. We're gonna go 0.7 bar. Sensitivity level. I like the sensitivity level. Do you like how sensitive it is right now? Or do you want me to change it, make it more sensitive?
More sensitive.
More sensitive? Do you really?
Yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool.
We'll turn it up to about 15. So sensitivity levels at 15. And basically we got it set up. We got overboost shutdown at 12.9 pounds. So we're gonna go ahead and turn that down to right about 9 pounds. Cylinder is 4 cylinders. SCL, PSI. Let me get that all. Yeah, I'll take that. The correction. Yeah, we'll leave the correction off. All right, so now let's see if we're reacting like it should. So we're not seeing boost down here. Now, that could also be because we're not actually driving, so that could also be the reason we're not seeing boost. So we'll get back up with you in a minute. We'll go ahead and do a little first through third pull.
I'm gonna show you guys the speedometer this time.
Yep, please.
You guys get a little bit of an idea of what it looks like.
First gear, never pull in first. Second gear, walk it up about 4,000 and hit it. What do you think?
Heck yeah, man. I'm really happy now that this is my daily driver. So.
Oh, dude, you are gonna have a blast. You're gonna love this thing. So, all right, so we have finally made it successfully to Mexico. I got my boy Zach on the gears, and 3, 2, 1, go. No burnouts. Way too short. Hold it. I'll tell you when to shift. Shift. This thing is fast, bro.
Yeah, we're already going 80.
Yeah, dude.
Woo!
Let off, yeah. That's good enough.
That was some fun.
Is that fun?
Fuck yeah.
For his first turbo car, I'm sorry about the wind noise. For his first turbo car, I think that's pretty fucking, that's enough. That's all he needs.
This is what I needed.
Yeah.
This is what I needed.
I'm gonna not say this, but he'll blow up this motor. I hate to break it to him. You're gonna blow it up, bro.
Part of the journey, huh?
It's part of the journey, man. Look, I tell you what. That's the whole fun in this. Like, you know, you get to experience the boost. Once you get used to it, like I told him, anybody that knows that once you have a turbo car, you get used to the boost, it's no longer scary to you. So then you want to turn it up and turn it up and turn it up and turn it up, and then that's when you blow your motor. So what we're gonna do, we're not gonna turn, we're gonna go straight. We're gonna gear down and go into third and let her eat. Go. Is that all the way down?
Yep.
Shit.
Oh, that's a stop.
Alright, be careful, let off.
Yeah,
let
we're
off.
going way fast.
Way too fast. Stick to the middle.
For the
Stick
wet.
to the middle.
Yeah, for the wet.
To the middle. Yes. Hey, it is raining in Mexico, and we're out here hooning. Hey, straight savagery, bro. That's how you do it.
This thing is so
Straight
fucking
savagery. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna switch drivers up here, and I'm gonna actually show him how to get down and how to boogie in this thing, because it's always fun when, you know, you're learning, but when you have somebody who actually knows what the limits of this platform and knows what the capabilities of this car actually are, that's when shit becomes really fun. He knows I have a very high horsepower wagon, and that's the only reason I think he agreed to this whole thing anyways.
Here we go, guys. Oh. Already at 60. Coming up on 80. So yeah, guys, pushing 90 right now. Good thing Mexico doesn't have a speed limit.
Hold on.